Welcome to the channel. English epics. Donna Bellas examined her face in the mirror by the front door. She decided she'd have to make do with what she had. Her husband's best friend, Gil Gentry, had called and asked to meet her in town, at a small restaurant on the outskirts. She knew what he wanted, and she didn't know how he would react to what she was going to tell him. She picked up the large bag she usually wore over her shoulder. It might not have been very stylish, but it held everything a mother of three needed to carry. Grabbing her keys, she looked at her reflection once more. "I'm really a damn fool," she said out loud. She slowly closed the door behind her and got into her BMW. As she drove to meet Gil, her thoughts drifted back to that evening, the night she had gone to a party at the company where he worked. She knew it would have been better not to go without her husband, Steve, but at the last minute, he had urgent matters to deal with at one of the construction sites, and he had convinced her to go without him. "Darling, you're already dressed. The kids are with the nanny, and you definitely don't want to stay here or in the pickup while I try to fix this mess. Besides, there will be many of our friends at the party, and it'll do you good to get out. I wouldn't want to miss this, but a broken piece of equipment isn't a reason for you not to have a good time." And so she went, and indeed, she had a good time. Most of the people there were familiar. She walked around, enjoying the food, the conversations, and the drinks. Perhaps she enjoyed the drinks a bit too much. She shook her head. She wasn't going to blame anyone or anything but herself. She had definitely drunk enough to lower her inhibitions, quite a lot, but no amount of alcohol could justify her behavior. She stepped out through the back door to get some fresh air and clear her head. The light buzz was pleasant, but she knew that if she had another drink, she would have to leave the car and ask someone to drive her home. She took a deep breath and nearly jumped out of her skin when someone spoke. "Donna, what are you doing? Out here alone and unsupervised?" "Gil Gentry. What are you doing? Are you trying to give me a heart attack?" She laughed and walked over to him. He definitely looked good, Donna thought to herself, tall, blonde, and handsome. He was such a contrast to Steve, who was stocky and dark-haired. Not that Steve wasn't attractive in his own way, but Gil had the looks of a movie star, the kind that made women melt. Even she had been guilty of flirting with him when he showed up at various parties, including this one. But it had always been harmless, she reminded herself. She had never taken it beyond casual flirting. She certainly had never intended to do anything more. "You look a little cold, Donna. Here." Gil took off his sports jacket and draped it over her shoulders. Donna admitted to herself that it felt nice. She was wearing a sleeveless black dress that left her shoulders bare. It had been warm inside, but the air now carried a slight chill. "Thanks, no problem," he smiled. "That's what friends are for." Without giving her a chance to respond, he continued. "Seriously, what are you doing out here? And where's Steve? Did I just miss him tonight? Or what?" "Or what, I suppose," she replied. She explained what had happened. In conclusion, she said, "I just wanted a little break from all the smoke. I don't understand how people can breathe in there." "I know. But hey, it's getting kind of chilly out here. How about this?" He laughed and gave a playful bow. "I escort Melody down the hallway and show her my new office. We'll stay away from the smoke and the cold at the same time." "Well, Gil, that's so unexpected," she laughed in return. "Are you about to offer to show me your etchings? Would that work?" he teased. "You tell me," she scolded lightly. "I know, and I'll behave." He offered her his hand, and she took it. They walked down a softly carpeted hallway until he stopped and unlocked a door. "Senior Vice President. That's something new, Gil. When did that happen?" "Just a few days ago. I've had time to move everything from my old office and get things up and running here. But it all fit, and everything works just the way it should." She paused briefly, considering how to phrase a comment, but dismissed it. The office was truly beautiful. The dark furniture was balanced by light wood paneling and bright curtains, currently drawn closed. "It really is beautiful in here," she commented. Without realizing it, she slipped the jacket off her shoulders and draped it over a chair. "Yes, it is," he said softly. His hands gently touched her shoulders and lingered there. "But not as beautiful as you." She couldn't even understand how it all started. It seemed that in one moment, they were standing in his office, his hands lightly touching her bare shoulders, and in the next, they were in each other's arms. He was kissing her fiercely. Her hands were on his shoulders, and she was pushing into him, once, twice, then a third time. "Oh God, Donna, I've wanted you for so long," Gil gasped, pulling her closer. The part of Donna's mind that was screaming she was making a mistake fell silent beneath the overwhelming wave of suffocating desire consuming her. Gil's hand slid up under her skirt and then moved inside, his teeth tugged at the already unzipped dress. The sound of black nylon scraping against her chest made her moan and pull his head tightly against her. She frantically slipped her arms out of the dress's top, pushed it down, and managed to reach behind herself to unhook her bra. Gil let go of her waist just long enough to help slip the straps of her bra down her arms, his hands eagerly finding their way to her chest. He lifted his face and began trailing soft kisses along her neck, moving up toward her ear. His fingers moved gently, igniting a growing warmth that spread through her entire body. As the heat between them intensified, she felt him tug at her dress until it slid down around her legs. Now standing in nothing but her damp underwear, Donna felt consumed by desire. When Gil took her hand and guided it to the front of his trousers, she didn't hesitate. 1 moment later, she found herself kneeling before him, lost in the moment, driven by instinct. "Oh yes, Donna," Gil gasped, leaning back against the edge of his desk. He reached into a drawer, fumbled briefly, then gently lifted her face with both hands. Smiling down at her, he whispered with a mix of tenderness and hunger, "Yes, just like that. You're incredible." Suddenly, he pulled her up toward him. With one sweeping motion, he cleared off the desk and gently laid her down on her back. He slid off her remaining clothing, then let his trousers fall to the floor. Drawing her close, he pressed himself against her, their bodies aligned, and with quiet urgency, they surrendered to the intensity building between them. Donna felt herself losing control, swept away by the rhythm of his movements and the fire. Within her, faintly, she heard his heavy breathing, his murmured encouragements, and then release. She clung to him, her legs wrapped tightly around his hips, her breath catching as they reached the edge together. And then, it hit her. The reality of what she had done came crashing down. In silent panic, she grabbed her dress, shoved her undergarments into her purse, and rushed out of the office building. She drove home and rushed into the shower, as if hot water could wash away the incredible stupidity of what she had just done. When Steve finally returned home, she pretended to be asleep. He crawled into bed, and she pressed herself against him, trying to stay still so as not to disturb him. She eventually drifted into an uneasy sleep. The next day wasn't any better. After everyone had left for work and school, she sat at the kitchen table, reflecting on what she had done. Not only had she betrayed Steve, it felt like she had done it without even thinking. 15 years of loyalty, gone in a single reckless moment. Well, it had happened. She felt awful, but under no circumstances was she going to act like what happened once could happen again. She knew the first betrayal was the hardest. For her, it had to be the last. "Damn it, Donna," she said aloud to herself. It wasn't even that good. Gil's appeal definitely lay in his looks. When it came to intimacy, his skills didn't compare to Steve's. A few days passed, and she began to calm down little by little. She was still unsure whether she should confess to Steve. She knew it would hurt him terribly, maybe even unforgivably. At the same time, she believed that the honesty they had always shared demanded a confession. She decided to give herself time to think. She couldn't come to a decision. Maybe by Saturday evening, the night they always tried to spend together, she would know what to do. On Friday, the phone rang. "Hello? Hi, Donna. It's Gil. We need to talk." "Gil, I'm not sure that's a good idea. Actually, I'm certain it's a very bad idea." His voice was firm. "You need to hear what I have to say." "All right. Lunch at Sanderson's at p.m. That'll work. Don't be late." He hung up abruptly. The drive felt like it took forever. Along the way, Donna ran through and discarded a dozen different scenarios and conversations in her head. The only thing she knew for sure was this: there would be no affair. She couldn't change what had happened, but she had no intention of letting it happen again. She parked near the entrance and walked into the small restaurant. She smiled at the maitre d' and asked if Mr. Gentry had arrived. Getting a nod in response, she allowed him to escort her to a small table in the back. Gil was already sitting there. "Hi, Gil," Donna said softly as she sat down. "What?" he replied. "Come on, Donna. No kiss for your lover. For heaven's sake, don't even joke about that," she whispered. "Someone might hear you." He looked at her surprised. "After that night, that's all you have to say?" "It was magical. It meant something special to me." Donna took a deep breath and looked sternly at Gil. The only thing it meant was that you were turned on. You've wanted me for a long time, I know that. But I don't understand why. You have an amazing wife, and Steve is one of your closest friends. He gave a half smile and shrugged. That just makes it all the sweeter, Gil said, grinning, knowing that good old faithful Stevie's wife Donna played the part of the adulteress with me. I love getting what I'm not supposed to have, or at least what no one thinks I can get. Oh, my God, Gil. I can't believe how heartless you are about all this, Donna said in disbelief. Well, that actually makes things even easier. She looked him straight in the eyes. I'm telling you that I made a terrible mistake that night, and it will never happen again. I hope you enjoyed it, because that was it. I will never sleep with you again. Oh, I think you will, Donna, Gil said, triumphantly, laughing as he tossed a large manila envelope onto the table. Donna opened it and gasped as a pile of photographs spilled out onto the table. She quickly gathered them up and covered them with the envelope. They were photos of her and Gil, more precisely. They were photos of her and Gil having sex. Look at this one, Gil smirked as Donna flipped through the explicit photos. What a great shot of you, pleasuring me. You look very happy there on your knees. Indeed, Donna remembered with shame. She had actually enjoyed it. And this one's even better, Gil interrupted her painful thoughts. Look at yourself, the way you're holding on to me. I'm sure Stevie would love to see that expression on your face. Hell, Donna, I bet he's never seen it. I'm doing you a favor by keeping you close. What do you mean, keeping me close? Donna demanded. And where did you even get these? Even a blonde like you should be able to answer both of those questions, he said smugly. You bastard, Donna hissed. So that's why you wanted to go to your office. You've got the whole place under surveillance. That's right, he grinned. And that's no way to speak to your new well owner. Sounds a bit possessive, but it'll do. If you don't want all this getting out, then from now on, you'll do exactly as I say. Donna immediately understood what those instructions likely entailed. She grabbed the envelope and the photographs. Oh, by the way, you can keep those. Gil nodded toward the pictures. I've got several copies, in case you're wondering. As Donna sat there speechless, Gil nodded in satisfaction. Now that all the unpleasantness is out of the way, let's get down to business. Not only will you entertain me whenever I want, I think you'll be an asset to my business as well. Donna lifted her head and shook it slowly. So, it's all settled then. It's simply a matter of you being polite to my clients. I'm sure you'll grow to enjoy it. Actually, this weekend will be a perfect start. I have a couple of promising clients coming in from out of town. I don't care what excuse you give Steve, as long as you're at my place by 7 p.m. To show you I'm not such a bad guy, I'll even provide the lingerie you'll be wearing, and right now, I think I'm in a pretty good mood. So, come with me to my place. No, Donna said quietly. What? I mean no. Donna looked directly at Gil. Maybe I made a mistake I'll probably never be able to undo. But I'm not stupid. If I gave in now, I'd just sink deeper under your control, not escape it. Sooner or later, you'd make me do something that would expose the whole thing anyway. She paused, and then a sudden thought struck her. That's exactly what happened to Sue Dahlgren, isn't it? The Dahlgrens were acquaintances, not friends, but their divorce had drawn public attention. Judging by the look on Gil's face, she was right. He quickly masked his expression and leaned back in his chair, trying to appear calm. What are you going to do? He laughed. Tell your moral, upstanding husband what a little adulteress you've been. Yes. Donna's one-word reply completely stunned Gil. You wouldn't dare, he stammered. I know Steve. He'll throw you out on the street without a cent. Maybe, Donna said calmly. And if he does, I wouldn't blame him one bit. She stood up, slipping the envelope into her purse. I might lose everything, him, the kids, all the material things I have. Not that any of it would matter without Steve and the children, but that's a risk I don't have any choice but to take. Gil sat with his mouth open, his thoughts swirling. If she actually went through with it, no, she wouldn't dare. This was all just a bluff, wasn't it? Gil. He looked up. What struck him most was the calm, determined look on her face. In case you're worried your part in all this might come out, she paused, then added, worry. I'll just deny everything. It'll be your word against mine, Gil muttered, nearly panicking, of course. And the photos, what? I created them myself. I don't think you ever considered that they work both ways. When all this comes to light, I think there will be more than just passing interest in you and your little scheme. I'd bet the Dahlgrens weren't the only couple you've ruined. In fact, Donna paused as a new thought struck her. Blackmail is a criminal offense. You're going to realize you picked the wrong woman to mess with. Gil clearly understood that. He forced a smile, stood up, and walked around the table. Come on, Donna. Let's not make this ugly. I was just joking around a bit. Can't you take a joke? Donna instinctively stepped back, keeping the table between them. I made a mistake that night, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. Even if Steve somehow finds the strength to forgive me, it will be incredibly hard to forgive myself for hurting him and our family over a fleeting moment of not even that much pleasure. Gil's face twisted with rage, and he lunged at Donna. Give me the envelope. Donna quickly stepped back. Suddenly, a towering figure appeared between them. Mrs. Bellas, how nice to see you here today, came a deep, calm voice. Gil's face fell as his eyes scanned the nearly 2-meter-tall, heavily muscled black man standing between them. The man continued, I hope there's no trouble here. I don't like trouble. It's bad for business. Oh no, David, Donna said with a tense smile to her old friend. I was just leaving, and Mr. Gentry thought we had unfinished business. I'm sure he's mistaken, David said firmly. Would you like me to walk you to your car, Donna? Please, David. Once she was safely inside the car, Donna rested her head against the steering wheel for a long moment. Then she started the engine and mechanically drove to her husband's office. She pulled into the parking lot and parked beside his pickup truck. She got out and locked the car. Even under such tense circumstances, she smiled at the contrast. Steve had insisted she drive a nice car, and she loved her BMW. He, on the other hand, still drove his old, beat-up pickup. If I buy a new one, it'll just get beat up too, he used to say. She paused for a moment and ran her fingers along her car. It was entirely possible that, in just a few minutes, it would no longer belong to her. But that would be the least of what she might lose. She walked into the building and turned down the hallway that led to her husband's office. Good morning, Mrs. Bellas. Darlene, Steve's longtime secretary and assistant, greeted her cheerfully. Hi, Darlene, Donna replied, trying to put a casual ease into her voice, one she definitely didn't feel. Donna? Darlene looked at her closely. She and her husband Bill had joined the company back when it was still just a dream in the minds of a young couple. While they maintained formality at work, they had often spent time at Steve and Donna's home, and the two women had been confidants for many years. Their children were best friends. Darlene could tell her friend was terribly upset, but she didn't want to push. Everything's fine, Darlene. Is he in? Of course. And he's alone. Thanks. Oh, Darlene, your brother, is he still a lieutenant at the sheriff's department? Sure is. And his wife's still a detective there too. Why? Just curious, Donna replied. She opened the outer doors to Steve's office. She paused, her fingers resting on the handle of the door. She could still turn back, go to Gil, and try to somehow convince him to drop his plan. No, she thought angrily to herself. She might not have been the first woman tricked by that man, but she was going to be the last. Donna took a deep breath. She straightened her shoulders, wiped a tear from her eye, and reached deep within herself for a reservoir of strength she hadn't even known was there. With her head held high, despite the guilt and anguish in her heart, she opened the door and stepped inside. Thank you for being with us. And if you're one of those who watches silently, just leave a like. It helps new stories come to light.